Okay, so look, we're a little bit late on this one. Yeah, that company who sort of started this whole mainstream EV thing has got something new for us. Nissan, who was basically first in the mass scale EV market, well, for some reason, they've kind of just been laughed by like everybody. Yeah, how did they blow a lead like that? Anyway, they've got something pretty interesting here, and I've had my eye on this for a while, so it was pretty cool to get all up in its business at the LA Auto Show. Yep, talking about the Nissan Ariya. So welcome back to Gearbox Pizza, gang. With a wrench in one hand and an old fashioned in the other, we're about to get all Don Draper on the auto world today. Again, special shout out to our fierce group of subs. You know who you are. You guys are awesome, straight up just awesome. Thank you, thank you. All right, so what is this thing? Well, like just about everything else coming out, it's an electric crossover coupe sort of thing, or basically it's an SUV with a sloped roof. Size-wise, it is just a hair smaller than the Model Y and the Mach-E, which is most likely going to be its main competition here. Okay, so before we get all into the numbers and specs, I think let's talk styling for a little bit. So this thing looks pretty interesting in pictures. I mean, more good than bad for sure. In person though, I think it's better as, I don't know, the proportions just kind of work really well. All right, it's a good size. You know, as I said earlier, it is just a tiny bit smaller than the Model Y, which I consider to be just about right. It doesn't look smaller in person, and it's big enough on the inside for regular people to be pretty comfortable. So yeah, look, the size is about right. Now, Nissan is calling this design language, quote unquote, timeless Japanese futurism. And I don't know, I could pretend that I know what that means.
I don't know.
Whatever. Look, bottom line, yeah, it looks pretty good. Not amazing or life-changing or anything like that, but it's good. You know, it's as good as the Model Y or the Mach-E, so there you go. All right, so paint-wise, I think this press color, you know, this bronze, well, I think it's probably the best color here. There's also a silver that's pretty solid. Otherwise, you can choose between black, green, red, and blue. On the inside, things are a little bit more conservative. No reinventing the wheel here, just more or less what you'd expect, and it's pretty good for the price point. Now, there are some interesting things here that'll make you feel a little bit special still, so don't worry. So to ramp up that whole minimal thing on the inside, a lot of these buttons are that touch-sensitive haptic feedback thing, which allows Nissan to integrate those things directly into the wood dash, and that's actually pretty cool. You also notice that there's no like gigantic mega screen in there. Just your run-of-the-mill side-by-side deal, and look, that is just, I don't know, that's totally fine. No big deal. Oh, another thing that's pretty cool is that the floor, well, it's perfectly flat, even between the front and the back seats, which sort of helps open things up a little bit. Oh, one more thing that's, well, unfortunately, check this out, there is no frunk, which is kind of a shame. Apparently, in an effort to free up interior space under the dash, your pals at Nissan moved all that climate control gear and they just kind of shoved it under the hood. So no frunk. Gotta say, not really sure if the trade-off is worth it. By the way, shifters, they're going crazy, right? I mean, it really seems like everybody's sort of trying to reinvent the whole thing, and I don't know, actually Nissan's take here is actually pretty cool, so yeah. All right, so there's gonna be 4 versions of this thing to choose from, but in reality, it's a little bit simpler. There's 3 single motor front wheel drive options, and the 4th, that's your dual motor all-wheel drive version. Now, I gotta say, the single motor version of this thing has kind of weak sauce. I mean, 238 horsepower, really? I mean, that just seems really low for a modern EV, doesn't it? I don't know. I mean, yeah, look, it's probably gonna be fine, I guess, but I would have liked a little bit more power here. So the base entry-level model, they're calling the Venture Plus. And this just happens to be the long-haul champion of the group with a pretty solid range of 300 miles. All the prices we're going to be using here are going to be before tax, rebates, and all that stuff, so keep that in mind as this guy comes in just shy of 46 grand. Moving up, you get the Evolve Plus model. Now, there doesn't seem to be all that much of a difference between this model and the entry-level Venture Plus. The Evolve Plus does come with the panoramic moonroof, which is nice, and it looks like it's going to have like some larger wheels too, so I guess that's cool. So unfortunately, big wheels kill range, and here it drops to 285 miles. Otherwise, it does seem to be pretty similar to the Venture Plus, and that's sort of reflected in the price. Yep, it's just under 49 grand. And I'm not sure I get this though. With only a $3,000 difference and super similar features, why bother having both these trims? Alright, next up we have the Premier version, which is still a low-powered front-wheel drive version, but this is going to be a limited edition, and Nissan says it's going to have some unique accessories, and I'm not exactly sure what that means. Well, look, we know what it means, you know what I'm saying. Probably a bunch of cosmetic things here and there and some unique badging maybe, I don't know. Price-wise, now we're looking about $53.5 grand. Okay, so last up we have the range-topping Platinum Plus. Now, this is the dual motor all-wheel drive version that puts out a combined 389 horsepower. 0 to 60 is going to come in about 5 seconds or so. Look, with that extra power and weight though, the range is going to suffer just a little bit. So this fella tops out at 265 miles of range, which, I don't know, if you ask me, that's still fine. It's good. I guess what I'm saying is that there's no way I'd pass in this guy to drop down to the entry-level Venture Plus for range alone. I mean, just no way. You do get the Nappa leather here, so that's cool. But price-wise, we're starting to creep a little bit. We're looking at just under 59 grand, so it's getting up there. So it's no secret that this space is quickly becoming the most sought after and competitive space in the car biz. I mean, just about everybody is or will be competing here, so it's going to take a lot to stand out. And look, right off the bat, there's a few competitors out now that everybody should be cross-shopping if you're looking at this. And I'm talking about the Model Y and the Mach-E, obviously. The problem for Nissan is that they're both really good. Look, the Model Y competes with the all-wheel drive top trim Ariya almost dead on as the starting prices are super close. And this might be a problem for Nissan. You know, the Model Y, it's faster, it's going to go farther, and look, quite frankly, it just has better tech. Look, Nissan does have a gauge cluster though. I mean, come on, Tesla, please, it's just something simple. Even just a heads-up display would be amazing, but I don't know. I hear you kind of get used to having everything on the center screen, but yeah, I don't know. So then there's the Mach-E, and here Ford and Nissan compete almost directly across the entire model lineup. With lower power two-wheel drive options, it's worth noting that the base Mach-E is actually rear-wheel drive where the Ariya is front-wheel drive. Otherwise, power and numbers are all pretty similar. But at the high end, it really looks like the Mach-E GT is just going to be awfully hard to beat. Range is about the same, but power is way up with the Ford. Yeah, 480 horsepower. And this is another problem for Nissan. So beyond these two competitors, there's going to be way more options coming out by the time the Ariya becomes available. Nissan's claiming a fall of 2022 delivery schedule, but hey, let's just acknowledge that everything is getting delayed like everywhere, and it's not just Nissan. So competition is going to be sort of fierce in this segment, but look, that is a good thing. Okay, so look, we can all agree that this is going to be a crazy competitive space. I mean, it already is, but I do think the Ariya is going to find some buyers. Look, Nissan has built and delivered over 500,000 Leafs. So there's plenty of people that are going to be returning leases and just kind of staying in the Nissan family. And this is where it was kind of important to be first. And look, believe it or not, there's a lot of loyal Leaf dudes out there. And secondly, the styling, although it may not be for everybody, I do think some people are going to really like it. I mean, remember the Murano? Yeah, look, oddly enough, its styling actually drove sales here. So look, if you really don't care about speed and you're not just into like flat out performance and you want to go with a company that's already built and sold hundreds of thousands of EVs over the last decade, I think the Ariya is going to be a fine choice.